let's get to our first guest, Pennsylvania Congressman and member of the House Appropriations Committee, Guy Reschenthaler. Welcome back, sir. Got a legal background. I know you do.
Chris.
So your reaction to the breaking news, could a redacted affidavit be selectively redacted to put out the biggest accusations while hiding the likelihood of the credibility of those accusations?
Absolutely, Chris. And that's what I expect to happen. And we have history for that. That was the Mueller report. If you remember the redactions in there that were done to skew the case in favor of the FBI and DOJ against former President Trump. So I think that's going to happen here, too. But I am happy that the federal magistrate agreed to at least release a part of the affidavit of probable cause. I think he probably did that, too, as a little bit of backtracking because he understands the overtly political nature of this. He also made, I would argue, a clerical error in approving a search warrant that had two flaws with it. Number one, there were least intrusive ways of effectuating this raid, which as a former magisterial district judge at the state level, I can tell you is what you'd insist on if you were the magistrate issuing that search warrant. Additionally, there has to be some kind of criminal statute that's referenced. The statute that was referenced was a civil statute. So there were mistakes made in the search warrant, and it's questionable whether there was probable cause to have a raid that was that invasive and intrusive.
Yeah. Well, Congressman, you know that the normal situation that you're describing there is now only reserved for Democrats. Republicans get the equivalent to the rough ride. And that's what's being predicated as normal now in this Department of Justice. Can you also react to the preamble? Chris,
do you think? Yeah, go ahead. I was going to say, if this was a Democrat, there wouldn't have even been a search warrant. Remember, and again, I don't have to just pull that out of thin air. I can go back to recent history. When Hillary Clinton was accused of this, there was evidence that she had a server that our adversaries actually had access to, and Jim Comey admitted to that. And then there was zero search warrants. There were no raid. There was cooperation with her attorneys, and there was a memo that exonerated her, even though the FBI under Comey said that she likely violated the law. So we don't have to speculate here. We can see a side-by-side comparison of how Hillary Clinton was treated and how President Trump was treated in the disparity. And then we also have the Hunter Biden laptop. They won't even admit that they have that laptop nor what's on it. So we can see this two-tier justice system continuing, where if you support the regime, if you're a member of the ruling class, you get treated much differently than if you're a member of the conservative movement. And again, President Trump, Manafort, Roger Stone, the list goes on and on. Peter Navarro, for example, just look at how they were treated relative to Hunter Biden and Hillary Clinton.
Sure. And shame on those Republicans who are trying to be a part of this clique. I want you to react to the preamble. Do you think that the GOP should stop criticizing the Department of Justice and FBI abuses, lies, and partisanship the way Cheney and Mr. Pence are suggesting?
No, I think what we need to do is we need to continue our calls for oversight and investigation. The FBI has been corrupt since its very beginning. Remember, if you just go back and look at the history with J. Edgar Hoover, there were tons of nefarious actions, spying on political figures and leaders in various movements across the country. There's allegations that Hoover was supplying LBJ, for example, information on House members and senators to help LBJ move up the ranks to basically, in essence, blackmail the senators and House members. So it has this history of corruption. We need oversight, investigation, and we need to rein them in, much like we reined in the CIA back in the 70s when they were running around the world assassinating political figures. So we need to do that. And if I could just comment on one thing in the preamble about Liz Cheney running for office, Chris, I say let her run for president, because at this point she's going to hurt the Democrats much more than she's going to hurt us. Because if you're a fan of Liz Cheney, you're not going to vote for President Trump. So she would actually siphon off votes from whoever the Democratic candidate is. So I applaud that effort, because it's going to mean that President Trump will more easily win re-election.
Well, Congressman, I've only got 60 seconds left, and this is the last question I wanted to ask you. There are 200,000 border crossings in July, illegal alien crossings. This, as new footage shows, Joe Biden's agents are opening up a locked gate on private property and allowing illegal aliens to trespass on private property. With your legal background, Is it legal for the United States government to enable trespassing on private property? Is that a legal act for Joe Biden's government to take?
No, it's not, because, again, it's private property. But the other thing that's disturbing here is the enabling of illegal immigration. Remember that the border crossing is up over 300% over where it was under Trump in July. That was in 2020. Also, the amount of individuals that are on the terrorist watch list that are being caught is higher than one would think. I was at the border. Border agents were showing me videos of beheadings that were taken from people crossing the border. Having prosecuted terrorists in Iraq, I can tell you that if you have one of those videos on your phone, you're likely involved in the terrorist organization that did the actual beheading. That's going on. All these getaways. So I think that we're going to see crime play out because of this open border policy. It's truly a travesty what's going on.
Yeah, and actually Joe Biden and his government showing how much they disrespect private property, which is to say they don't. They think it all belongs to the government. So just come on, illegal aliens come across this guy's property, that gal's property. Congressman Guy Reschenthaler, thank you very much. Appreciate the time as always here on the Salcedo Show.